Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd fa bismillah assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Indeed, all praise and thanks are due to Allah, and peace and blessings be upon His Messenger. Proceeding to the video, we begin with Allah's name subhanahu wa ta'ala, so peace be upon you, welcome and greetings. We just finished up the main concept of ayat and maddul aarid, and now we're going to be continuing inshallah with examples. But just a quick note, learning the ayat is pretty easy, the concept is pretty easy. You just drop the last harakat of the sound and you basically read it as sukoon, as we learned in the previous video. But its application might be more or less difficult in some places of the Quran. So definitely, if you ever come across an ayat where you just can't figure out the way it should sound, or you're having difficulty, or you're double-minded, please make use of the Quran audio that that is available to you, bi'idhnillah, and that way you can listen to how it's said. So that way, inshallah, you can perfect the sounds at maddul aarid in when you recite an ayat, and especially when you want to make a stop or a pause. So in this video, we'll cover a few examples of that topic, but most of it won't, it won't help you in every single ayat that you come across. So inshallah, this video should help a little bit, and then if you ever come across difficulty, please make use of the Quran audio. So in this example, we have the word muslihun. This is Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 11. So this ayat marking is here, and that's 11. So muslihuna is the way we see it. So muslihuna. So what we want to do then is, if we have a muslihun, so we're going to type this out right now, inshallah, and then we have an ayat marking, and that's there. And that'll be 11. So now what we want to do is make sure that we understand the concept. So the rule is that if you stop here, you're going to cut the harakat of the last letter out, and you're going to put a sukoon on it. So we have nun sukoon, and instead of reading muslihuna, we're going to say muslihun. And if we want to say hoon for 4 haraka, we can. If we want to say hoon for 2 haraka, we can. It's just try to keep it consistent for the duration of your recitation. So this is one example, and it's pretty easy, inshallah. So basically, just drop the last haraka. Another example now we're going to jump into, inshallah, is Surah Al-Asr. So what would you do here? Let's say I want to stop here. Let's say I follow the principle where I want to stop at every ayat. We could just read wal asri innal insana lafi khusrin illa alladhina, but we're going to try to go into the stopping rules. So a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. We have wal asri, right? Wal asri. So we're going to stop at the ayat. So instead of saying wal asri, we're going to put a sukoon on the ra. So we're just going to say wal asr, and that's pretty much it. So if we type it out, wal asr, and then ra sukoon, let's put a ayat marking here, and this is number 1. So let's say I want to stop. All I'm going to do is put ra sukoon there. So wal asr, wal asr. Same thing at the end. If I want to stop at the word khusrin, khusrin, and ayat marking, the way I'm going to pronounce this is khusr, khusr, khusr. So that's all it is. This is another concept. Also, now we're going to go into another example, inshallah. And by the way, right here, bis sabr, if I stop there. So this is Surah Al-Asr. Now we're going to go to Surah Al-Alaq. The very first few verses that were revealed. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaqa. Let's say I stop there, so I'm going to cut the qaf out, and instead of saying qa, I'm just going to say qa, or khalaqa. I'm going to put a qaf sukoon. So that's all I want to do there. Khalaqa. Then khalaqal insana min alaqin. We're going to stop there, so it's going to be alaq. So instead of, we see this written alaqin, and we're going to stop there, so we're going to read it with a sukoon, alaq, alaq. So we drop the the kasratain, the 2 kasra, and we're just going to put the sukoon on top. So iqra wa rabbukal akramu, akramu, and we stop there, so akram. And if we want to stop there, if we don't, akramul ladhi علم بالقلم. So again, if we stop, we're going to say akram. الذي علم بالقلم. If we look over here to the next ayat, بالقلم. And now if we want to stop there, we're just going to put a sukoon on the meme, bil qalam. So that's the way it'll be read, though above is the way it's written. And allama al insana ma lam ya'lam. There's already sukoon there, so we're just going to stop there anyway. Or we're just going to pronounce it ma lam ya'lam anyway. So this is Surah Al-Alaq. Now we're going to go to Surah Taha. So this is ayat number 1. Taha. Both are standing fathas, so we're only going to say each for 2 haraka. Taha. And then we see maddul munfasil. Ma anzalna alayka al-Qur'ana litashqa. So we see another munfasil symbol. So if I were to not pause here, I would read this with 4 haraka or 6 or 2, depending on whatever choice you made on munfasil. So we're going to say, if I do 4, then this is the way it'll sound like. لِتَشْقَى إِلَّا تَذْكِرَةً. So if I want to continue, I'm going to do that. If I'm not going to continue, I'm just going to do 2 haraka. لِتَشْقَى. So, طَهَ مَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْقُرْآنَ لِتَشْقَى إِلَّا تَذْكِرَةً لِمَنْ يَخْشَى. Or for now, we're just going to merge the noise, مَنْ يَخْشَى. So if we stop or if we don't stop, it doesn't make a difference. We're just going to say this, يَخْشَى, يَخْشَى. So if I say لِمَنْ يَخْشَى تَنْزِيلًا مِمَّنْ, or if I want to stop لِمَنْ يَخْشَى, then I can say تَنْزِيلًا مِمَّنْ خَلَقَ الْأَرْضَ وَالسَّمَاوَاتِ الْعُلَى. عُلَى. So again, there's a alif maksura over here, and we're just going to make that 2 haraka. عُلَى, عُلَى. And regardless of whether we stop or not. The only time it matters if we're stopping or not is if in the next ayat the word starts with alif, and there's a alif maksura or a standing fatha. So then we're gonna, if we continue, we're gonna apply maddul munfasil. If we don't continue, we're just gonna apply the maddul asli, which is the small mud, and it's just gonna be 2 haraka. So this is Surah Taha. Now we're going to be jumping into Surah Al-A'la for this last example. So if we start from here, وَالَّذِي أَخْرَجَ الْمَرْعَى. If I want to stop, mar'a. If I don't want to stop, still mar'a. فَجَعَلَهُ غُثَاءً. And this is a maddul muttasil. فَجَعَلَهُ. And this is maddul sila. فَجَعَلَهُ غُثَاءً أَحْوَى. And then over here, سَنُقْرِئُكَ فَلَا تَنْسَى. So now there's a alif standing fatha, and the word in the next ayat starts with alif, and this is a alif maksura, maddul asli. So if I continue, I'm gonna apply maddul munfasil, which is 2, 4, or 6 haraka depending on what you picked. So if I do 4, this is the way it'll sound like, فَلَا تَنْسَى إِلَّا مَا شَاءَ, etc. So if I don't continue, this is the way it'll sound, فَلَا تَنْسَى, 2 haraka, إِلَّا مَا شَاءَ Allah. And muttasil, I do 5, so 4 to 5 depending on what you do. And then إِنَّهُ يَعْلَمُ. So right here, this is maddul sila. إِنَّهُ يَعْلَمُ الْجَهْرَ وَمَا يَخْفَى. Regardless of whether you stop or not, you're going to say 2 haraka. This is alif maksura, maddul asli. وَنُيَسِّرُكَ لِلْيُسْرَى. And again, it's the same concept. If regardless of whether you stop or not, you're going to say this with 2 haraka. Personally, the opinion or the principle that we follow of it just depends on what principle you follow, of following the markings or following the ayat itself. Again, as we said, some reciters stop at every ayat, some don't. So it's just a choice of, again, personal preference, the way you recite. So these are most of the concepts of the stopping or the rules of stopping at an ayat. And then in the next video, we're going to cover, inshallah, a little bit about the regulators in the recitation. So they won't work. They're not ayat counts, right? So they're not signifying the end of an ayat. They're just regulators that help you regulate the flow of your recitation, but they work just like an ayat. So that's what we have in store, inshallah, for the next video. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.